All right. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good morning to everyone out there. This is Open Lines. Welcome. Anyone who's available and wants to come on, you are more than welcome to come on. And Jordan says, if you're still on when I get home in 2 hours, I'll hop on. Well, I don't know. That all depends on what's going on. And good afternoon or evening, Low Specs Linux laptop, whatever it is for you. And Hakimi, Hakim, I don't know. Good evening. I hope you're doing well too. Uh, as you can tell, I'm having issues with pronouncing names. Okay. Other than that, I'm doing well. Um, no, I saw that Bird was finally got the latest episode of Prodigy available to view, so he could review it. And then, yes, Kronos, you were the first to say first, so you're first. And hey, Philip, what's going on? Good evening, Carlo. Hello, how are you tonight? And hail on Kuroga. This is Squirrel. I love lamp. I love lamp. Okay. Um, and got 10 minutes before I have to go to work. Okay, good to know you're here, Carlo. Hopefully, work goes well for you. Uh, and yo, rabbit slug ouchies. No Kuroga. Okay. Well, for Carlo, hail on Kuroga. And howdy, Val Mike. What's going on? Yeah, just kind of not much going on. After I had a good stream this morning, I thought, well, rather than start the day off tomorrow kind of slow, I'll just go slow tonight and have something in mind for tomorrow. Uh, all work and no play makes Carlos something something. Oh, it's an Anchorman movie reference. Okay, that's a reason why I don't know it. I'll be as likely to watch Anchorman as I would watch paint dry. No, no, not sure. I'd be more likely to watch paint dry. And but hey, as long as you like it, go for it. And hey, Eldridge Lord Haster, what's going on? Ah, Mike says I'm at Denny's so I can work on a video. I have spent 30 minutes trying to make my crap ton run faster. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. You can make your own Denny's. I've only seen the first two episodes. I am waiting to see it. I hear that it gets more Star Trek than what I saw. Which what I saw wasn't bad. It just wasn't Star Trek. Uh, I tried to get motivated. Listening to Slipknot pumps me up. Cool. We won't go there, Kronos. Thank you. I'll talk to you via DM. Oh, I didn't realize that both you and Phil were in San Diego. I'm sorry. I guess, Kronos, you can cook for yourself. Although you love junk food. Oh, it gets better after the fifth episode. It doesn't say much for it. It really doesn't. There's only 10 episodes, I believe, and then they're going on break and then they're coming back, if I'm not mistaken. And metal in general pumps you up. Yeah, that's not me. Hey, Rod, what's going on? Ah, oh, that sounds like a fun way to watch it. You'll survive without what, Kronos? Wait a minute. A new remastered? Now, I disagree. I disagree with that. TNG was actually good. Had a few episodes that were good in the first season. So it wasn't until episode 30. It was actually, I'd have to look. I didn't say great. It actually didn't get great until the third season, which would have been, well, however many episodes that was. But let's see here. Rod is trying to repair 55-inch TV. I found a cool DIY fix. DIY fix, excuse me. And yes, Phil, his bathroom would survive without Taco Bell. Okay. With the phone, I'm on the phone, so I can't hear yet. Okay. And let's see here. Something as simple as Scotch tape. Not by me. Not by me. However, everything since 2005 is not real Trek. Prodigy is the closest that I've heard. Lower Standards is just garbage with member berries. Picard is, well, not Picard. And yeah, Discovery. No. Discovery and Picard are the antithesis of Star Trek. And for those of you who aren't aware, antithesis means the complete opposite. You see, Star Trek actually had hope. It actually had a purpose. It actually had meaning. It actually inspired people. The garbage that's being put out in the name of Trek now, well, if it inspires anything, it's suicide because life is fucking hopeless, apparently. So, yeah, I would rather slit my wrist than watch that god awful, shitty ass Star Trek. I'm probably going to watch it anyhow. But it's shit nonetheless. And I know you like lower standards, but yeah, it's just member berry shit. And hey, Crimson Mist, what's going on? Now, if you like member berries and you know bullshit and crap, then hey, good for you. And of course, I got noise going on here out the yin yang. Be nice to talk to somebody. See, I did like. I will say this. Lower Standards had one good episode in season one. I don't remember seeing any in season two. Um, uh, well, let's see here. I did like two episodes of season three of STD. One was the second episode of season three. The other was I don't remember which, but they were talking about the uh, replicated apples and not tasting bad for shit. So hey, not bad for shit, huh? So for me, that became symbolic for Star Trek Discovery. STD is the replicated apple of the Star Trek universe. And the lovely Sherry, how are you? Ah, and Mark the Infinitely Tired, dumpster fires are fun to watch. They can be. They can be fun to watch, I'll agree. Although, I'd rather have a weenie roast or a marshmallow fire that, roasting marshmallows and watching a dumpster fire. Ah, the last one of Lower Decks was one of the better ones for me. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Uh, but here's the problem: there are a lot of people that talk about the character. Let's talk about the writing. Let's talk about the writing. The writing is just bad. The lack of characters, the lack of depth, the lack of any sense of why should I care about these characters? There is no point. Um, the every other iteration of Star Trek had either 3 for the original series or a complete ensemble that they relied on from week to week. And you still saw the others in episodes. So it wasn't like they were just there in the background all the time. Um, and yes, the lack of coherent story, I would agree. Let's see here. There was one episode that was good out of 10 for 10%. I would say there were probably 26 episodes. There were probably 4 episodes out of the 26 that were good. So, let's see here. Just open the calculator up. 26. I think that's actually too high, divided by 4 equals 6.5. Uh, hmm. Yeah, I still say that season 1 of TNG beats all of season 1 and all of season 2 of Lower Decks, based on percentage and based on raw numbers. Spock's brain was a good concept, bad execution. Agreed. Well, Carlos, you could come up here. Seems like nobody else wants to. At least I'll be ready for tomorrow. I mean, I could wait for 2 hours, just let people get bored of listening to me rant about how bad current iteration of Star Trek is. And well, Mike says, fortunately, good is subjective. This is true. Good is subjective. However, my channel, my opinion counts for more. So therefore, every iteration of Star Trek after 2005, with the exception of Prodigy, which I've not been able to watch in its entirety, sucks. And I am absolutely leaving out Prodigy because I haven't been able to watch it yet. So it wouldn't be fair to judge it. And hello, Crimson Mist.
Hey, Cap. Hope everything's well for you.
Oh, yeah, it's getting a little later in the day. Payload's going to have high. I think I forgot to take my medicine earlier.
I know what you mean. I sometimes forget my meds, and it affects my head quite a bit.
Well, that's what happened yesterday.
Ah,
I had a
okay.
blow up, and yeah, it's just I realized I totally forgotten my medicine that day, and yeah. So by the time I went on with my tirade, my pain level was on an 8. Bird
Wow.
recognized the sound of the pain in my voice. And hey, brightest day, what's going on, Zach? Do you have anything going on right now, Zach? But so how have you been?
Uh, Keeping busy and everything. It's uh, just, it's a new term, and just trying to catch up on everything that's going on with the changes here. So, and I'm also doing so, but a lot of stuff is coming my way because for one thing, just got some more music, so I'm getting ready to do a show of my playing stuff from my newly found treasure trove.
Ooh, cool.
So, got some other things brewing. So, so wish I could share that, but I deleted my Twitter because it was just getting on my nerves, and I just decided, yeah, fuck it, I'm just gonna delete it.
You know what?
Yeah,
Whatever is right for you, go for it.
yep. If I do restart it, I'm gonna have more stricter controls about not only who I follow, but who can who can follow me as well. Because I wanted to right now, I just want to focus more on building my show and trying to expand it, which would include YouTube and everything.
Yep.
And and I want to try some other things as well that will be YouTube related pretty soon. And I'm working and some other stuff here, like a new look and everything. So, but anyway, enough about me. I've seen the clips, and that's enough for me to just say no. I get headaches because I can't deal with stupid shit. I, that is what Star Trek, or not the new iteration of Star Trek is. It is just stupid as all hell, and I just get headaches. I mean, I posted on it. I'd rather drink liquid Drano than watch current direct because that's what it is. It's direct. It's garbage. I mean,
I've seen all but, I saw Prodigy with first two episodes, and it wasn't horrible. It
yeah.
wasn't Star Trek, but it wasn't horrible. So I
And
I wouldn't call it garbage, but
but it's not Star Trek.
it's
No.
not Star Trek. No.
Yeah. Well, I'm not giving any of it my time or my money or anything else. And that's how I am. I'm just that's another thing too. I am not dealing with anything entertainment. I'm not watching the Book of Boba Fett. I can care less about Star Wars now
Nope.
because it's dead to me. Everything else is dead to me. I'm just focusing right now. I just want to focus on, find some hidden treasures that's been made already
Oh
because it
yeah.
seems like these days everything's getting is a regurgitation. It's a remake. And and it's time to say no.
Exactly.
Just no. But people will just swallow it up. They'll just swallow it up like anything else because God knows why they're like they're deprived of something,
Brain
and,
cells.
and we're and which boy are we that starved for entertainment that will just watch any old garbage? Well, and honestly, there is some guilty pleasures, some on my end, and I can admit that it can be dumb, but you know, at the time it has some quality, or that I see, but neither here or there. But but it gets to where I have to say no, and we just need to say no to people taking these properties, doing soft reboots and sequels that just do nothing.
I have a
They do
question,
nothing for
Ken
me.
Jack Ben. Does your cousin like to fuck with your head and piss you off?
Either he's trolling or he just has very, very low standards.
Yes.
And
And
that's
Oak City Gamers, what's going on? Good to see you. And Trek and Star Wars moved on from my fandom. I would
yep.
agree.
To me, yep. To me, it's just a nice little memory, but you know, I, it gets to the point where nothing's new being made. It's just nothing but nostalgia baiting and with all this woke nonsense and it's all just hidden, and underneath it it's just substandard writing, characters that just leaves nothing, absolutely nothing. Nobody's making anything new. What was the You have to go look hard to find anything new. Well, part of it that's like 20 years ago, and now that's just getting paved over, everything. And at this point, I just don't care about modern entertainment because there's nothing. It has nothing new for me
No,
that it offers. I just
no.
so now I'm
I don't.
just going back and watch. I'm watching more classic westerns. Can you believe that? As a you know, I never got into it as a, growing up, and some people say Star Wars or Star Trek is like a western, and you know what? In a way, it is because there was a show that influenced it called Wagon Train, and I know Gene Roddenberry. He worked on a few TV westerns back in the day before Star Trek, so you do see some of that in the story structures. So so, but I'm also trying to watch other stuff as well. Not just out of nostalgia, because I'm trying to watch stuff that I've never watched before, and that's the challenge here is to find stuff that I've never seen before and give it a chance. Just give it a chance. Now I need to catch up on some movies, and I'm trying to do that as well.
Why does Sherry have a wrench? Because the lovely Sherry deserves a wrench.
Yep,
It's not
we
like
love
you
Sherry
don't
here.
have one. You have one, so it's not like she can blame. She can't use it on you.
Uh-huh.
And good evening, Star Wars Theology. How are you tonight?
Hey, Curtis, where have you been? I'm going to do a show, and you might like this because I got some new music. Well, new in my collection, but relatively. But it's not that new, but new to you and everybody else.
Oh, new
And
people
I
listening.
know his taste. I know his taste. So believe me.
Oh yeah. So it's unfortunate sometimes the entertainment of its time. Unfortunately, we live in a time where originality is not the goal compass. Yeah, some sort of money. Yeah, you know what? They need to stop spending so much money and focus on good stories.
Hmm.
Effects are fine, but
I think another question is where are these writers? Where are they hiring these writers coming from? I think that's another question that I beg to differ. Are they? That's a Yeah. I think it has to do with education or something. I don't know, but you know, you see, we've lowered the standards into what they consider storytelling, characterization, pl- plots. So,
well, see, there's a difference. Back in the day, they were able to do it in such a way that it was actually fresh, new. Now it's just like taking CSI or NCIS and just
mhm,
put it in space and changed a few names and a few little details, and here you go.
mhm. Yeah, that's how it is. That's how it goes. They just kind of branch it off, you know, and you know, you know, it's just it's nothing TV. That's what it is. It's nothing TV. you know, you know, eh, I think I have nothing else to say here.
Oh, I'm sure you got lots to say.
Well, not at the moment because I'm kind of focused on work and everything.
Well, that I'm saying in general, not at the moment.
Hmm.
You you you, you tend to be opinionated when you have a strong opinion. You don't mind sharing it.
Oh yeah, and sometimes I have to,
Get it?
kind of word it so that way I don't, because I don't want to go. I could go up on a rant and just start pissing people off, and although I don't, sometimes I feel like I just don't give a shit. I'll just piss people off just because.
Uh,
Not.
yeah, I understand that. I've been there myself. I
Hmm.
try not to allow that to happen. But
See,
yeah,
well, I actually have a reason, but that's
of course.
another subject for another day.
I mean, we could have a rant day sometime if you'd like, and just have a
Yeah.
rant warning, and then anybody who you
Oh,
know.
it wouldn't be called. I wouldn't call it a rant. I would call it a shit post. And believe
Well,
me,
see, I would just title
I'm
the
tempted.
stream
I'm tempted to do
"Rant."
something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yay! As you can hear, it's nice and fun here.
Yeah. Yeah. Things have been quiet. Meanwhile, it's all quiet here. Uh, and I need to get tested here because because someone came over for a visit and then a couple days later developed Corona Chan.
Yeah, fun.
My wife got tested and she was negative, so yay! And she's in the bracket that is a little, that where people with
A little
respiratory
higher
issues
risk. Yeah,
is more are high risk. Yeah, me, I don't have that problem, but still, I gotta look out for myself and for the fam. Mm.
yes, obviously. Oh, trust me, I you get the pleasure of hearing what I get to hear every day.
Oh, wait till you have them calling for your name and not having you do stuff for them. I get that every day, every day. God damn it.
Usually, I try to. I don't quite have a red light outside of the door, but I let people know it's like don't come in here unless you absolutely need something, and
Well,
don't ask me anything.
difference is I don't have that door. It's pretty much open, and I hear the screaming, or they come up to me, or text me and say, "Could you do this for me, or could you get me stuff, get me that?" Or like people can't fucking do things themselves. I swear.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, so that's my life. Although next month I'm going to be trying something new with my show. I'll be on the road, so I'm going to try to do that
Cool.
again. I tried to do that at a local laundromat, but there were some issues with with the laptop I have. But I think I may just get a new one anyway because that one, the one I have, is acting slow, so that might be a problem going forward. But I also had to do a lot of updates that I forgot to do. But I'm going to try again, uh, and hopefully it'll work out. So
If nothing
and
else, you can always scrub the hard drive and either use it as get an enclosure and use it as a backup, or
well, yeah, well,
have a
or I
backup
can use.
computer.
Yep. Well, I can just use that for production to make for production. for my shows,
Well,
doing audio productions there. So,
And good evening, Kid Jack Ben.
well, I tried to use my wireless headset, but it didn't work. I'm on my speaker.
Oh, I hate when that doesn't work.
yeah.
But I had to come in here and offer some suggestions for stuff to watch. Maybe you're familiar with it or not. But there was a
Go
TV
for it.
show. There was a TV show on a few years back. Burn Notice is excellent.
Oh, I've heard of
Excellent
Bird
show.
Notice. Yeah. Yeah, I know it has
It's an excellent show.
yeah, it used to be on USA Today or USA Network, and it had Bruce Campbell in it. So I'm familiar with that show.
Gabrielle Anwar and Jeffrey Donovan are the main cast members. There's a few other people on the show, but it has an excellent, very long run. It's finished its run. It's a few years before. It was written by some of the best TV writers in the business at the time.
We got some people calling in here now.
Well,
And,
my oh, you're still everything's kind of muffled there.
That's because I'm
me?
not on headset.
Yeah, all right. Well, my parents actually got me for Christmas a couple of years ago the complete series, the 4400, which they're now remaking. Why? But I think we know why. And I've seen the commercials for it. Yeah, but anyway, I'm going to give that. I should watch that and give that a try. So I heard because my parents watched it and enjoyed it.
The original 4400 is good. It doesn't end well.
Okay, that now that holds promise, because if it doesn't end well, in terms of like kind of like a Twilight Zone episode, then okay. Oh, I'm on board.
I'll just say this: the only reason I say it doesn't end well, it's not like it doesn't end well. It's not satisfying resolution. It's like it just ends.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The fate of
But the show is good.
the fate of many short-lived episodes or short-lived shows. I know.
Exactly. And it had a lot of really good actors in it that you've seen in other things. What's his name? The one that played Cottonmouth in the Daredevil series. He was in that show. He played the character Richard.
Oh, Cottonmouth, Luke Cage series, right?
Yeah, Marshala Ali or whatever. I can't say that name. He was great in that show.
I never saw the 4400. It just didn't have my interest.
It's the kind of show that you need to watch and give a shot to, because it's a mystery, and it's slow burn kind of mystery thing, and there's a lot of fantastic sci-fi elements involved in that mystery.
Wasn't there wasn't there a mini series done years ago that was similar like that Steven Spielberg did?
Yeah, I remember that. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but yeah, it involved alien abductions.
Yeah, throughout history, if I'm not mistaken. It's been so long since I've seen it, but I do remember. It. It was a mini series. I don't think I've actually seen it yet. I think it was it's one of those things that's been on my list. If I ever actually sat down and wrote a fucking list.
I watched the original run of 4400, and then I watched it again when they were running it on daytime television when I had a cable connection. So USA used to do that. They would do things where they would take their old shows that they're not making anymore, and they would run them in the early morning hours, like when people were waking up and getting ready for work and stuff. They would run their shows like that.
I remember. It's interesting you mentioned USA. I remember when they were doing. They were like, I think, one of the first TV shows or TV channels that I noticed was actually making their own movies. I mean, I'm not talking like the Hallmark Channel or anything like that. They always had, and I wasn't watching the Hallmark Channel. But USA was like the first channel I remember them doing like USA original movies and advertising them. And I remember watching quite a few of them and really enjoying them. They had he's very famous. The guy from Olympus Has Fallen, the main actor. I'm drawing. Yeah, Gerald Butler. He was in a I can't remember if it was a mini series or a TV or a mini TV movie series, two-parter or whatever. But he was playing. They did a TV movie for Attila the Hun, and he was in it. And actually, there was a couple of other good actors in it. I mean, this was maybe oh god, I don't know, late 90s maybe. I mean, it was early in his career, but they had some good TV movies.
Yeah, well, I highly recommend Burn Notice to watch. I highly recommend it.
I've seen it.
Yeah, I remember USA Today, or US. Why do I keep saying USA Today? USA Network. They also had Pacific Heights, which was kind of like Baywatch, but with police on bikes, and so.
Oh,
and it had Mario Lopez in it. This was after his time on Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, that's right. They did have that series where they were bike police.
Pacific Blue is what they called it.
Okay, Pacific Blue. Okay, thank you. I was close on the name.
That was the one about the bike police. Mm-hmm. And later on, they had a lot of live shows.
I really liked White Collar. I thought that was fun.
I liked the actor in that show, but I just couldn't get into it. I also recommend an old show, Jake 2.0, which was supposed to be the successor to the $6 Million Man. That was a great show.
I think that was originally either on UPN or NBC, one of those two. I remember.
And then they did 7 Days is an excellent show. If you can get a hold of that one. Yep. 7 Days is great. Cameron Tata actually wrote for that show, which I didn't know, and I watched all of that show. And
that Oak City Gamers, that is one that is on my list to actually watch because I've heard good things about Psych.
Oh yeah, a few years ago, the actors on Psych made an appearance at the local con here, so there's a lot of love for that show. It's not my cup of tea, but to each their own. And
yeah,
and if you like that show, good on you. I won't dish you or anything. But it was a lot of people wanted to see them, and it shows.
There's also 3 movies to go along with the show Psych. I'm surprised they haven't done any movies, TV movies, go along with the show Monk. How it was on for 10 years.
Oh, I loved Monk. Absolutely love that show. Love Tony Shalhoub.
He got up, but I still watched it.
Because I remembered him from Wings, which was a comedy show I enjoyed very much. And he starts out originally, I forgot what he was on there. He was from Italy, and he was originally not a main character. I think he became a main character in the 2nd season. And then I forgot what his original job was, but he ended up being a taxi driver pretty much afterwards on Wings. And he was just, the guy has an amazing range. Tony Shalhoub has range. I've seen him as a comedian. I've seen him do serious roles in drama. And I thought it was interesting because Monk, I think, was tried to be sold as a comedy, but it kind of was, but it was a really soft comedy. It wasn't really, just off the wall funny. It just kind of
the show Monk had moments of slapstick comedy. They did do a lot of slapstick in that show, where he's being afraid of something and he has to run around and fall over and stuff.
Yeah, he's a total germaphobe.
I like what Oak City Gamers just said. I've got more 80s references than Ready Player One. I've actually read that. I've actually read that book. My wife.
Yeah, I have that book in my collection. I read it.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely.
I watched the first 10 minutes of that movie, and then I turned it off. I thought it was gonna. It looked like crap, and I'll keep the book. Thank you very much.
The interesting thing Crimson missed about Ready Player One is my wife. She was in Turkey at the time for a year, and she bought the book. She just wanted something to read, and I was like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "What do you think about us? We read this together and we talk about it." I was like, "Yeah, sure, okay." I downloaded onto my Kindle and I started reading it on Amazon. I said, "Okay, what do you say we read maybe 5 chapters?" Because it was a 500-page book. I got to chapter 5, called my wife, and I said, "Where are you at?" She goes, "I'm about to finish I'm almost done with chapter 5. I'm like, "Okay, when you finish, give me a call back because I'm done with chapter 5 and I'm just going to keep going." We ended up finishing the book in like a 24-hour period between, Saturday and Sunday. And then we saw the movie, and the movie isn't bad. The movie is enjoyable, but it's very enjoyable if you have not read the book. But if you have read the book, there's so much taken out of it.
Yep.
Some of the best things were taken out of it, like the quest and things like that. And I understood they couldn't get all the rights to everything. But
I can overlook all of that when it comes to making a book into a movie. It's not the same thing. It's one of those things where if they're going to make a book into a movie, you should probably just skip it if you're that much of a book guy. If the book is that great to you, then just skip the movie altogether because you don't want to be the guy that ruins someone else's time. You don't like
exactly.
the movie.
Well, Kinjack Ben, when my wife and I finished seeing the movie, my kids were all loving it. My wife and I didn't really say much, and we got home, and I was like, well, what'd you think? She's like, "Oh, it was okay, but just the book was so goddamn good." It's,
yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad movie. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trashing it. It's just, there's so much that there were so many important elements from the book that they just weren't able to put in, and that's sometimes the problem when you have a 500-page story. Okay, let's take Dune, for example. One of the biggest mistakes of the first Dune movie was trying to put the entire freaking Dune book in 2.5 hour movie. It's damn near impossible.
Yeah, Dune should not be a movie. Dune should be a TV series.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, I did enjoy this first Dune movie.
Most book adaptations should not be movies. They should be TV series. Because you can go long form with it. Especially comic books. Because each episode could be an issue of the comic book. Like they could do an entire series of comic book, a series of seasons based on the fact that Superman was a slave on Warworld for 9 issues.
You bring up a good point there. I've been saying that for most video game adaptions, because when you get a video game movie, well, let's be honest, they don't have a good track record with that. I mean, this last Mortal Kombat movie was just horrendously bad. I mean, I thought it was on the level of freaking Mortal Kombat Annihilation bad. Just better CGI, but still just bad acting, bad writing, bad directing.
Mortal Kombat has cheesy writing to begin with. You have to lean into the Shaw Brothers style martial arts flick that Mortal Kombat is fashioned after. If you're not going to do that, then you miss the point entirely.
One of the things one of the things I've enjoyed is I enjoy the game The Witcher. So I'm enjoying they're taking the book adaptions or they're taking anything from the video games and they've turned it into a TV series, which is definitely the better way to go. You have more time to flesh out, even if you only have 6 episodes at 50 minutes long, that's still plenty of time to tell a good story. For
the best. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was done.
Okay, so the best version of trying to adapt something to add to it and keep it new and make it
Right.
new. Cobra Kai. The guys who do Cobra Kai, they're brilliant in their respect for they're brilliant in their respect for
Preach it.
the source material,
Cobra Kai managed
and
to. Oh, sorry, Ken.
I was just gonna say the way that they talk about how they are plotting out the series as they're not, they've already plotted out all 5 seasons of the show already. They know where they're gonna go with it, and then when they get into the story room, that's when they add things in. They say, "This is our template. Now, where do we go from here? We have to get these characters from point A to point B. So how do we do that?" And then their writers' room just comes up with the stuff. The writers' room comes up with the stuff because they all know the lore. They all know the lore, and then they overlap and interweave all of the character plots.
What they've managed to do in the last 4 seasons of Cobra Kai, which I have maintained, is currently right now the gold standard of how you take a franchise from the 1980s, update it, and make it to where old and new fans can love it, because it respects its legacy characters while introducing new characters that, as you get through this, you start to really care about. My favorite character is Hawk. He's absolutely my favorite. His plot, his arc throughout these 4 seasons, I thought was the best.
It was. Season 4 is Hawk's season. That's his season because he's the one that won the tournament. And
yeah. Well, I love how after what happens to him, and he's lost some confidence, and his girlfriend comes up to him and gives him encouragement, and he's like, "I'm gonna win this whole fucking thing."
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I literally just fucking started clapping.
I love it too. And my new favorite character is Kenny. I want to see if he's redeemable. I want to see his redemption arc. Is he going to follow Robbie?
I'm curious to what is going to happen in season 5 with Tori's story arc after what she found out at the very end.
Some people are saying, because I've been following the videos people are making about it, the speculation stuff. Some people are saying going to be okay with it because Kreese is gone. Kreese is gone, and Terry's the new Kreese, and she's going to go on with Terry. And because she says do anything to win, she has that idea, that mentality, and she's like, yeah, I'll do anything to win.
I don't know. The look on the expression on her face, though, kind of made me think it's something different, but we will see. But I mean, that's the great thing about the show.
I think she's loyal to family. She understands family, and she's loyal to family. And she might think of Kreese as family because he's her first sensei or second sensei. Johnny isn't the one who got her into it anyway. Kreese is. Kreese is the one that helped her and everything else. She has a bond with him.
Yep. I agree. Well, it's interesting because it kind of came full circle on Kreese from season 2 to season 4 now, after what he and I'm about to sneeze here.
He had a chance to redeem a mistake in his own way when he told Terry to leave her alone and let her do what she wants.
I mean, it's interesting how they have weaved the first 3 Karate Kid movies into this. I know there's a lot of speculation that will we ever actually see Hilary Swank from the next Karate Kid, which is universally considered the worst. But
she doesn't need to.
Karate Kid 3 is considered the weakest of the trilogy. However, they are at least not denying its existence. And they're actually...
I don't agree with that assertion at all.
Oh, that's fine.
I think
I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm simply saying that tends to be the consensus. But the interesting thing is you see these characters, even Silver, Terry Silver, they all kind of are slipping. They slip back into these roles, like the 1980s was a couple of months ago.
mhm.
I hate to admit it, but I don't remember 3. I remember 1 and 2. I don't remember 3 at all.
I remember 3 because 3 had a lot of good lessons in it. 3 had the lesson of the tree, and the lesson of the tree is the lesson they taught in season 4. The lesson of the tree was it doesn't matter if you go and do things on your own, so long as if your root is strong. If your root's strong, then you're good. He can trust you to live and do well on your own.
I do like one of the scenes in there, and I agree with Oak City Gamers on this one. Even the legacy characters are starting to learn to grow and evolve. They're not all. I mean, Johnny even said, not Johnny, but when Daniel said to Johnny, maybe we're too set in our ways to change, but that doesn't mean our kids can't. Oh, we lost Ken Jackman.
Yeah, fortunately that does happen. I'm not right now in a position where I can let her back in anyhow. Is I'm adjusting my standards, so hopefully it doesn't pop right back in.
How's your day going, Cap?
Well, not too bad. I have to take my afternoon medicine, so that.
I'm just sitting here having a little bit of rum. Kids aren't going to school tomorrow. I'm taking them up to Papa's place so they can spend the weekend with their grandfather, mom, and uncle.
Ken Jackman kicked himself out.
We've all done
Phone
that.
overheating. Before. Yeah, that's what happens sometimes. Oh.
So I've got to I'm gonna drop the kids off tomorrow and then stay for a couple hours, and then I gotta head back to the house and take care of the animals. And then my daughter's gonna be here, my oldest will be here Friday night or Saturday. And then she's gonna ride up there with me and my grandson, and we'll go up there Monday for the funeral. And then, unfortunately, I got to head back. I wish to God I could have been there all week. It's just not. Yeah,
unfortunately, yeah.
Why are they over there? Why aren't they at their house?
This is their house.
Don't you have a basement you can lock them in?
No. If there was a basement here, I would be in it. They would be locked out of it.
Good point.
Trust me, I've thought of trying to find a way to dig out from under the room I'm in.
Yeah, it's too bad you can't get like. It's too bad you can't get yourself a ute on the property and just live in that.
Yeah. Be happy with a shed that's a little insulated.
No. The ute is kind of more of a, well, not even just a ute, or one of those like my neighbor has here while he's building this new house. One of those minimalist houses.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got, I haven't been inside of it, but he's getting the money ready to tear down the house that's there because, well, it's going to be cheaper for him to tear it down and get it rebuilt than try to get it updated to code.
Yeah.
It's that bad. Yeah. So he's got this little minimalist house that he lives in right there. And it's the way he said it, it's just a small little area, kitchen, kind of like a studio. And his, I guess, bed is upstairs. Like he just goes up a ladder and gets in bed.
I've seen, like I said, I've seen a 2 story shed that would honestly make a decent apartment. This has been a few years ago, though, because all it would take would be insulation. That's it.
King Jack Ben, I like the character Terry Silver. He reminds me of an evil Batman. The character of Terry Silver in Karate Kid 3, what turns out is, he spent a lot of that time hopped up on a shit ton of drugs, or his character was. But what are you doing, Gizmo? Swear, dog's driving me nuts.
And hey, Mercer, what's going on? Let me check something here. Hold on a second. Yes,
Well, all right, Mercer Create. What's the joke? I got a joke for you. There you go. There's the joke. Hell, if I can't make fun of myself, who the hell can't? I would have issues. Oh, wait, I do have issues. So who's all here right now? Who's in the chat? Now, folks, the link is here if anybody wants to come up, hang out. Don't think Cap would mind. What about you, Mercer Create? Have you seen Cobra Kai? If so, what do you think of it? Oh, Oak City Gamers. Yes, spaghetti. Love spaghetti. I used to think I cooked it great until my wife started cooking it and added different seasonings, and it was just kind of like, okay, I'm done. You're a better cook than I am. Oh, wait a minute. My wife's better at everything than I am. Because I should just get that out of the way and accept it. So, Mercer Create, Oak City Gamers, Kinjek Ben. You guys seen anything lately you liked? Any promos? Anything coming up? I gotta find this. I saw a trailer for something that said no rings, no something. It was like, looks like they're making a. God damn it! I'd have to find it now. It's called Veil. Let me look this up. Now I got
apologize there. I had to take another phone call. My doctor's office decided that, now would be a good time to call to let me know that my doctor wasn't going to be available.
Oh, isn't that always fun?
Yeah.
Huh. So there's a show coming out tomorrow that actually looked a little interesting to me.
Okay.
It's coming out on Amazon. I saw the trailer. I was just looking at it. It's called The Legend of Vox Machina. And it's basically it looks kind of like they're doing a little bit of a parody with things like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. And it's an animated show, but it actually looks kind of like a fun parody for adults. because they call it the trailer was basically like no rings, no thrones, no two fucks. I was just like, okay. And the trailer looked interesting. Let's see, you've got half elf ranger, human gunslinger, gnome cleric, half elf rogue, half elf druid, gnome bard, Goliath barbarian. This is let's see here. Legends of Vox Machina is an upcoming adult animated fantasy streaming television series. It's based on campaign 1 of Dungeons and Dragons web series Critical Role. First series consists of 12 episodes, will premiere tomorrow on Amazon. The first 10 of the first episodes were funded by a Kickstarter campaign. Really? Wow. Amazon's must have faith in it because they've already renewed it for a second season. Series is set in Exandria, a fictional world created by Matt Mercer in the 2012 in his personal Dungeons & Dragons campaign, which then launched as an actual web series called Critical Role in 2015. Most of the stories take place on the continent of, I can't fucking say that word, in locations.
Whatever. On a different continent.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it looked kind of interesting. I kind of like the way some of the characters are acting. I thought one was funny where I guess they were hanging out and he was like, hey, should we do something good today? And they're like, nah. I'm interested to see it because as somebody who played RPG games, pen and paper growing up, I would love to see if they're going to kind of do it like we would have done it, where we just, kind of played the game and had fun with it. And we made some of the craziest freaking comments and jokes during that time. I'm curious if it's going to have that kind of feel to it.
Hopefully.
Hey, Cap, if you check Mercer Create, he had a joke he wanted you to read.
Oh,
Set at 5:36 p.m. my time. So 4:36 yours.
Yep. Okay. Actually, Pirate walks to the bar. He has a bulge in his pants shaped like the steering wheel of the ship. And the bartender notices. Steering wheel. The steering wheel of the pants pirate. Oh, it's driving me nuts. Aye.
Yeah, I remember that joke.
Aye. Next time I'll make you come up and tell the joke.
Mercer Create says, I liked episode 5 of Boba Fett. I did too. I very much enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing Din Djarin back. I do think the episode could have been 15 minutes shorter. It was like it was a 50-minute episode, or about 50 minutes. And there was a lot of time in there in the second half of it that just they're building a ship. He's building a ship with Motto on Tatooine, which is fine. However, it dragged on so long. I was like, you could have cut a lot of this out.
Yeah, unfortunately, that tends to be the case anymore.
As I literally
don't
would have
know how to write. Where they could just put in a few little scenes and a few little lines, and there you had it. Or they could put this all scene in there.
Well, they could have done a few of the scenes they did, done a lot less with the building of the ship. The little Jawa interactions were fine, and those could have stayed, which I thought those were interesting.
Well, yeah.
I liked how he when Mando's talking with Motto, and she says she uses it, she's gets all this equipment and stuff, and she's like, where do you get all that? He's like, where do you get all this stuff? She goes, oh, I get it from the Jawas. She goes, yeah, I give them a list. I give them a list. They go get me stuff, and I let them go through my well, basically her junk bin because she's a mechanic, so it's not exactly like it's a perfectly clean place. So she has a lot of parts and everything, so she lets them go through. And he's like, they're good at this, and they, he asked them to find something, and they're like, yeah, and they find it, and they're like, and he's like, how did they get this? And she's like, do you really want to know? Yeah, I do. And he was like, yeah, we took it off a Pike ship while they weren't looking. And Mando says something along the lines of ballsy.
And Crimson Mist, don't worry about that. I had an important phone call that I had to take while I was on the stream, so I had to just mute it and walk and talk to the doctor. Rescheduled my appointment. Actually, didn't talk to the doctor, talked to the nurse, but whatever. So, fortunately, it'll be on a Friday. Although I'd rather have them on Tuesday and Thursday, but
Yeah,
at least it's not going to be conflicting. So that'll be a good thing.
Yeah, the reason why my kids aren't going to school tomorrow is because I did not want to pick them up from school at 3:30, drive all the way to Anderson, which is 2.5 hours away, stay for a couple hours, drive 2.5 hours back, especially down on 465 at night.
Yeah.
It was interesting about Book of Boba Fett episode 5 as there's only 7 episodes. So this was kind of a filler episode, which you wouldn't expect in something like that. But it's pretty much kind of set up. It's pretty much guaranteed Din Djarin the Mandalorian is going to be in the next 2 episodes. He's going to be in the next 2 episodes to help Boba Fett out.
I'm looking forward. I haven't gotten to see it yet, but I'll have to check it out.
But the key thing is they also pretty much tell you what's going to happen in season 3. There was Mandalorian. There was speculation that it was going to end up. It was almost guaranteed it was going to end up with Mando going to Mandalore. But now this episode gives you why he's going to go to Mandalore. I think
hopefully I'm gonna, like I said, when is the last one gonna be on?
Give me a second. I think probably mid-February, probably right around Valentine's Day, but let me check. Because there's only 2 episodes left, and they're pretty consistent on getting.
Hey, Mercer, what's up?
Hey.
Okay. So,
hello.
What's going on?
Not much. What's going on?
Not too much here. You having a good evening so far?
I was kicked off Facebook, so I guess that's a good start.
Okay, why were you kicked off Facebook this time?
Because I called somebody a pansy.
Oh, okay.
What?
Yep.
You called someone a flower.
A pansy. I don't know, whatever that means.
Yeah. That just cracks me up.
Oh, I would contest, say, why were you kicked off for calling somebody a flower?
Probably because they reported it.
Yeah, because they're a spineless little bitch.
I sometimes wonder if there's anybody actually really reading these complaints, and there's just some algorithm they use to decide if
more than likely.
Oh, it's definitely an algorithm, yeah. So I'm just hanging out watching Star Trek tonight until my friend comes over.
Which Star Trek?
Just random episodes. I watch. I randomize, whether it's the original series or anything from Berman or even the Orville, but I don't like Discovery and any of this new stuff. And then my friend's going to come over because he has to catch up on Boba Fett. He missed the last 2 weeks, so we're going to watch the last 2 episodes.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
how about this, Indie Geek? You have to watch Discovery all seasons and Picard.
I think Picard is okay. It didn't work. Like overall, it didn't work. But I thought at least it was a valiant effort. The first season of Picard. I have no interest in seeing the second season. Even though I like Q. Even though I do like Q, I probably will watch it. But it just Patrick Stewart is now officially too old to play the part. I really believe that.
I don't know what would make you say that. He sounds like he's 20 years older than William Shatner.
He could barely do that. He could barely deliver a whole line of dialogue without sounding like he's going to need air or something. The thing that made Picard is that he could carry whole scenes in like the ready room or something and just deliver great dialogue or almost no dialogue and just carry those scenes. Like take the scene where Bob Gunton is the guest star from the guy from Shawshank Redemption. Mm-hmm. You know, the warden. He was he played Captain Maxwell. And there's a great scene where, you know, he's in the ready room with Picard, and Picard is just he's asking very short questions, but he's owning the scene. That's Picard. And this new series does not have this character in the show. You know, the guy that you would, you know, you could depend on to carry, whether it's even if it's a silly scene, like the scene in where he's in the ready room with Matt Fuhrer, who plays Berlinghoff Rasmussen, you know, the time traveler guy, you know, that Rob Williams is going to play, and they couldn't get him, so they got Matt Fuhrer to play him. And even that scene, which is really silly, Patrick Stewart owns it. He's like, you know, how do you know what timeline is supposed to be the real timeline? It was great. That's Picard. But this new show is just like they're basically hoping to film as many episodes as they can before he can't act anymore.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm sorry. It's just I would rather
I love
see
Patrick
William
Stewart.
Shatner. I would rather see William Shatner come in and beat the shit out of Picard or whatever that thing is.
I guess I have a soft spot for Generations. It's not a great movie. In fact, it's not even really a good movie. But Shatner gave a pretty damn good performance. And if you doubt that, watch the scene where he's on the horse and he's jumping that little jump. Mm-hmm. And then he looks back and he realizes that this is not real. Like he realizes that there's no danger. That expression, that's a performance. He was awesome in that scene.
Yes.
Well, what he also said too was maybe it's not about about the rank. Maybe it's about the chair. You know.
Yeah.
Let's be completely honest. Kirk's first love was his ship.
Yeah. I mean, the point is,
but his first love was his ship.
The point is, Shatner was already done with the character, and yet he still gave a performance in that movie that I thought was incredible and made up for a lot of the flaws. Even, by the way, I loved his last line. A lot of people say I hated the way Kirk died. I personally loved it when he said it was fun. That's a perfect line for him to deliver. And then he said, "Oh my," as if he's finally seeing something that he's never seen before. I thought it was great. I mean, I don't know what else I'd write for him to say. I thought it was great. You know, it's not as good as Spock's death and Wrath of Khan, but I thought they had the challenge of how do you kill Kirk in a movie, and I think they did a pretty good job. You know,
there's only one problem. See, he actually had 2 death scenes.
Yeah, he did. And his first one was like this quiet one where nobody actually saw him die. He was sucked out of the ship, and that was almost better than the second death scene, just because it seemed more fitting that you'd never actually see him or hear him say anything. But then when they had to do another death scene for him, I thought that was really good. The main problem with Generations is some of the scenes in the middle when they're negotiating the prisoner exchange. That was terribly written. That was just terribly written. But by the way, I got to say this about Generations. This will give it an extra star rating. Let's say you have 2 stars for that movie. This will bump it up to 3 stars. If you watch that movie with the writer's commentary turned on, guarantee you'll give the movie an extra star. It is one of the funniest commentaries you've ever seen, and yet one of the most honest. With Michael Piller, not Michael Piller, Ronald D. Moore and Brennan Braga doing the commentary track. It's on the DVD or the Blu-ray. Watch the movie with them doing the commentary. It is so funny. And then they also do the commentary for First Contact, which I believe was recorded at the same time. It just seems like they were just doing both movies at the same time. And they're both great. If you're really bored or you're working or something, listen to those commentary tracks because you will not regret it.
One of well, actually, you brought up his name. Ronald D. Moore wrote some of the best episodes in TNG and DS9. I mean, he's not credited for it, but he did work on the writing for In the Pale Moonlight, which is my favorite Star Trek episode.
I thought that was Peter Allen Fields.
Well,
I could be wrong.
Ronald D. Moore is uncredited, and I don't think he did the finished part. I'd have to really look into it, but I know he was part of it, part of the writing staff that did it. He's just not credited with it. You brought up a point about Picard, the series. One of the issues is, he's too. He can't carry himself like he did in, say, Measure of a Man or Drumhead Trial, or even one of the best ones he did. When it had to do with Wesley at the Academy, when he said,
the first duty of every Starfleet officer is to the truth, whether it's personal truth or scientific truth or whatever. And that was just those scenes. He could carry entire acts of an episode in the ready room. And that's the Picard that I like. If you're going to bring a legacy character back in any franchise, you have to at least try to keep their most notable trait with them. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it. That's my opinion. Like, there are exceptions, of course. And his most notable trait was his ability to speak and have him carry scenes where you don't need a budget. You put him in the room with one other person, and there you have great, whether it's a drama scene or a slightly comedic scene. Like the scene with the time traveler was obviously not serious, but he treated it like it was. It was fantastic. The one where he's like, he's trying to ask him if he should, if people are going to survive. What were they doing? They were electrocuted. They were like creating static electricity over the entire planet and then sucking out all of the electrons with the deflector dish. That was the most insane thing I've ever seen the Enterprise do. Like, they literally charge the entire atmosphere, and then they have to suck out all of the charged particles with the deflector dish, and then hope it works.
And hope it doesn't suck the atmosphere away with it.
Yeah, that was the craziest thing. I still don't understand what they're actually doing, but I love it. That's Star Trek for you, and that's what the new series. I think they hate Star Trek. The new stuff is so cynical and so, I don't know. I just don't like it. That's why I like the Orville. I mean, I don't know if you guys like it or not. I can't wait for another month or so. The new season. It's not like it's not quite perfect, but hell, man, at least it feels like 90s Trek. They keep the camera steady. They let people act. They let people develop characters. They let
the other actors do shit. They actually don't make it just one person saving the entire ship every fucking episode.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's like this. If you look at Next Generation, if you look at DS9, if you look at Voyager, they're all 3 different series,
and they're all ensemble pieces. But
and they're so
they have a feel. They have a feel. All of them. They have the same feel for all of them, which is so good.
But at the same time, they still have this cohesiveness to them where they're within the same universe.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a shared universe before Marvel even came and thought about doing a live action shared universe on anywhere. It's amazing. I love what you're saying. I love it.
And it almost you could almost feel like maybe this is an alternate timeline of the Federation being the Orville.
Yeah, I consider it non-canon Star Trek, or I can consider it just like an alternate kind of parallel universe. It doesn't matter. It just looks and feels like that era of Star Trek that I could just watch an episode of it and not miss a beat, and then watch a TNG episode. Like, for example, I think Seth is actually a really good actor, and one of my favorite moments, he doesn't say a single word, but it was in the episode where Bortus had smuggled that kid on board, and Mercer finds out about it, and he just gives him a look because he understands why he did it, and that he wasn't policy. He shouldn't have done it. And Captain Mercer just gives him a look. It's all drama. He takes this show seriously. It's not just like a joke fest. He's just a gifted comedian a gifted comic writer who can see humor in drama. And I think that's the perfect way to do Star Trek right now. I think it's great.
One of the
I couldn't agree with you more on that one.
When I saw the first episode of Orville, there was that scene where he's talking with the senior staff, and Lamar asks, "Can we have a drink up on the bridge?" And it was so funny because I actually laughed at that, and I knew some people. I saw some people later were like, "Oh, that was stupid." I'm like, I was in the military I've been in the military for a long time. If you've ever worked on a ship or you've ever worked on certain jobs, it's like you ask that question. I've actually seen people, because they'll be like, "Yeah, put a lid on it," because I've actually seen people bring a Coke or soda in.
Right.
It is not with a lid on it. And you watch the boss come over there and literally yank it off their desk and be like, "Are you out of your fucking mind?"
Yeah.
Well,
those little details matter.
My problem wasn't with that. It was when they were in the shuttlecraft, or whatever the hell they call that thing, going to the Orville, where the guy was acting.
He's drinking a beer. He's drinking a beer on the shuttle.
He's drinking a beer on the shuttle and acting all stupid and flying everywhere and trying to crash into things. It's like, that was stupid. That I thought was stupid. Well,
he was just rubbing it in. I didn't like that.
It's like, big deal.
Here's my favorite moment from that episode, and this is a joke that Star Trek should have done, is when they get down to the planet, and there's a scene where they introduce the entire away team to the scientist, but then when the Krill attack, they're like, "Get behind Alara," and he's like, "Which one's Alara?" And she comes up, she's like, "That's me," and he's like, "Oh, I'm still learning names." I think that is just great, because they don't do that on Star Trek. Everybody just knows who everybody is the first time they hear their name. I love moments that he's getting at. These little teeny moments that just make it work.
Yeah, what I thought in the first episode was, I think the pilot was made a little bit over the top.
He had to not get sued, to make sure it was a satire. Absolutely, he had to do that. He had to, otherwise they would have sued him.
No, what I'm saying is I think it was a little over the top intentionally at first, but as the show progressed in season 1, and then again and then especially in season 2, the humor became very organic.
Yeah.
It didn't feel, for that first episode, it seemed like some of it felt, first couple episodes, I think some of it felt a little forced, some of it very forced. But once you get to about the third episode on, it really starts to just kind of organically fit in.
Yes. And humor is a part of the characters, and that's why they're fun to hang out with. They're fun to watch because they do have humor. And like when you mentioned that scene with Gordon flying drunk, when that pilot aired, he was my least favorite character, because I thought he was going for the joke every time.
Yeah.
Now he's my favorite character on the show. You know what I mean? So there's how a show can change me as a person and what I think of it. He started out as my least favorite character, and now I finally got him, because if you take scenes like in the episode where they're doing the whole planet with the social media planet, right?
Majority rules.
Yeah. When he's on the bridge, he doesn't have many scenes in that episode, but there's a scene where he's just like, this is sick, man. This is like American Idol. This is terrible. And it's a funny line because he's talking about American Idol, which they never do on Star Trek, but it's also, he's like honestly talking the truth. Like, to run a society like that is beyond, like, he's honest. I love that character because he'll just say what he feels and he'll cut through all the crap.
There's other things too, like these characters go through real drama. Like, okay, and think about what Seth MacFarlane is doing, because he honestly understands Star Trek. Majority Rules, I think, was the whole point, is an allegory for you're guilty by popular opinion.
Yeah, it's Twitter. The planet. It's a Twitter planet. It's absolutely Twitter planet. And he was using the template of episodes like Patterns of Force, or what was that? The Piece of the Action, where a whole society has like one single kind of culture that's an exaggeration of some part of our culture. But instead of doing those, he was doing, Twitter. He was doing, exactly, court of popular opinion, and it was an allegory. It's not. You're not supposed to think, oh, this is a science fiction story where it's very literal. People forget. I think ever since special effects became awesome for you can do great special effects on like a relatively low budget, people have forgotten how to look at movies or TV as allegories. It's like, and I'm just going to slight tangent, but just real quick. You take like Superman, the original movie, right? Oh, he spun the world backwards by flying very fast. No, that was an allegory. He didn't actually rotate the world backwards, but what he did do was tap into a power he was told not to use, and he had to tap into it using anger and like as every emotion, which is to not interfere with human history. His father told him, do not interfere with human history. He has the ability, like all Kryptonians, to they can kind of mold time, because you hear that throughout the movie, that they can live for many years, that he can experience all of this stuff between the time he was 18 and 32 when he was in the fortress. He experienced like 1,000 years of history touring the galaxy with his father, who was already dead. So the Kryptonians are implied to have like a unison with time itself. So when his father told him, do not interfere with human history, that scene where he's circling the earth is an allegory of him doing this in defiance. It was an illustration. It wasn't meant to be literal, like he was literally rotating the world backwards. It was an illustration of the immense power he needed to have to be able to go back even just a few minutes. And I think it's a power that they have that he was told not to use. That's how I interpret it. Point is, people don't see allegories or analogies or symbolism. Everything is so literal because special effects now are so good that as soon as you put something on screen, people say that's literally what we're seeing. So if you watch Majority Rules and you look in the background, you try to find flaws, or you try to figure out, who is not wearing a badge, which extra in the corner is not wearing a badge. People are looking for little flaws when the episode is meant to be an allegory about society rather than, even more than it is supposed to be, like a literal place. You know what I mean? Like, the original series did that. The original series, had these improbable parallel societies that were just meant to tell a story about our society. And they were more like Twilight Zone than science fiction. And people today don't know how to take the Twilight Zone, or anything that's allegorical. They just don't know how to process it because everything is literal to them. Everything, you throw it on screen, it's literal,
Well,
and
oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm done. I've been trying to get that point out for years, and nobody understands it. So it's a really weird little point.
No, it makes total sense. I think there's another couple of factors that have caused why we're seeing a decline in a lot of what we watch on TV as far as getting the quality. Is they're overdoing the special effects to where it's literally just to get somebody off the fucking phone, because people are spending time on their phone while they're watching while they're watching TV or watching a TV show, and they're not paying attention to it. They're like half paying attention, half not. They're not really invested in it. Whereas when we were like, one of my favorite episodes in Star Trek TNG is the episode where Ro and Geordi are
the next phase. Well, I love it. I mean, people are asking the wrong questions. Like, why aren't they falling through the floor? Well, I think gravity plates still work. People are asking all the wrong questions when they don't realize that this episode was a fun romp where it wasn't meant to be looked at very literally or scientifically. I mean, why aren't they? How can they hear each other technically, and nobody else can hear them? Why is their voices being heard? So it doesn't make any sense, but it's a fantastic episode. I love it.
That could actually be explained. Because they were phased together.
Yeah,
they were in the same frequency, kind of like when Data was down on the planet. When they were doing the 0.001, 002.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's kind of like that, but the point is, you have to work a little. But the point is, people want the answer. They don't want to think about the answer. I'm not saying you guys, but I'm saying like younger people or people that special effects and the approach of films has basically banished allegory, and it's banished thought. It's like Red Letter Media said it perfectly in their 09 review, Star Trek 09. When did the movie stop thinking for me? That is my favorite line from their review. They're talking about the engine room or something, and like, what place is this? Remember that in their Star Trek 09 review? Did you watch that?
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. No, watch Mr. Plinkett's Star Trek 09 review. It's 2 parts. In the beginning of the second part, they start talking about the engine room, just like how the new engine room is just a bunch of brewery. It's like a beer place, but the old engine rooms look like actual starship sets. And at one point, he does this mock voice of a fan, of a new movie fan, saying, "Where is this supposed to be? When did the movie stop thinking for me?" And I just love that, because that's the way people think. They want the movie to do all the thinking for them. They don't want to think or consider imagery and allegory and symbolism or hypotheticals. They don't want to do any of that. They just want the movie to think for them.
That's one thing I don't want.
Yeah, I don't want
to be
a movie
able
thinking for me.
To be challenged. I want to be able to,
I do too.
That's one of the best movies I've seen that really made me think, especially with the ending. And one of the ones I love having conversation about is The Joker. Because when you get to the ending, you're like, okay, how much of this was real? How much of this was fake? How much was in his, in his
You know what shot throws me off? The shot that throws me off in that movie every time I watch it was in the beginning of the film when he's meeting with his caseworker. Mm-hmm. There is a cutaway to him in that freaking white room. You remember that?
Yes.
And I'm like, so that shot, the fact that they put that shot in that scene makes me think, like, what is really happening here? It's a great movie. It's a great example. I mean, I just love how the movie looks and the performances. I love it.
I love the ending where it's, we're right back where we started, and he just says, "You wouldn't get the joke."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, there is so much in that. And what I love is there's no direct answer. It's something we can all interpret in our own way, and different things that we thought was real. One of the and that was one of the great things about Star Trek is, our interpretation and it, us having to think some of the best one of the biggest things is, as we all know, and well, except for this new shit, Star Trek was never an action adventure show.
It was boring, and I mean that as a compliment. Star Trek is boring, and like I said, that's a compliment. It was always about characters interacting, and not much happens. So when you do get an action scene, it was that much better. 40 minutes it takes for Khan to actually attack the Enterprise and Wrath of Khan, and now it'd be like 5 minutes into the movie if they made it today. It'd be like you got to have something happen. Star Trek, and I mean this as a compliment, is boring, and I think the Orville understands that because his season 2 premiere was no action, no conflict, no aliens, just the crew talking to each other. Catching up with who's with who. And I think Seth has an innate understanding that Star Trek is boring, and I mean that as a compliment. Star Trek is...
I would not argue. I would argue not boring, but...
Yeah, I'm being hyperbolic. Yeah, I'm being hyperbolic with boring, so that I'm saying it as if I'm saying it to like somebody who's trying to get on board Star Trek, and they complain to me. And they say Star Trek is boring. I'd be like, yes, Star Trek is boring, and that is great.
Well, compared to what some of these people want, I would agree with that. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Orville Nation, what's going on? Hey, Tommy, what's up?
One of my favorite episodes of TNG is Data's Day, because it shows that even though he's been active for 25, 26 years now, he still is learning humanity. And I mean, when he comes up to O'Brien, and by the way, that was the first episode we met Keiko.
Yep. And he introduced them together. They didn't show that, but they implied that he was the one that introduced. Here's the thing, but with even not Data's Day, you take an episode like The Defector, but there is a scene between Geordi and Data in The Defector that almost could be in Data's Day, where Geordi says, sometimes you got to go with your gut. We don't have all the facts. Sometimes you got to go with your gut. And there it is, another little moment that Data is learning more about what it is to be human. And they constantly put little scenes throughout the entire series that give him a little bit more insight as to what it means, like that scene. And so when you get to Data's Day, you start to remember all those other scenes. It's a great development.
One of the best dialogues I thought was between Data and Spock, when they're talking about how Spock is like, you were born with what Vulcans want to achieve their entire lives, and then he kind of makes the comment of, you have emotions and you suppress them. So basically, you're suppressing what I wanted to achieve my whole life.
They're it's the antithesis of each other. And people say, why did they have more scenes together? And I say, because the one scene that they had was perfect. You don't need other scenes. The one scene that scene is perfect. And it says something about both characters and where they were or are in their journeys. And it's absolutely perfect. I love it.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, the whole thing is, I wouldn't say Star Trek is boring.
I mean, like a hyperbolic sense. What
I would say is, classic Star Trek, by all accounts, is intellectual.
Yeah. I use it as a hyperbole, so that way I'm kind of mocking and just kind of being friendly about it. And then I'm like, I love it, though. That's the point I'd get to, is that I love the fact that it technically is boring.
Well, you look at Balance of Terror. There's really not that much action between the Bird of Prey and the Enterprise, except for a couple of shots fired here and there.
Yeah, but the tension, stakes and the tension if the Enterprise lets that ship go, then all the other ships are going to come in and wreck that neutral zone. It's just the stakes are very high. It's great,
and they play off each other so well, even though they did not have any scenes together physically. The ending, when the commander is talking, when Kirk is talking to the commander, And he says, "We're willing to bring your survivors aboard." He goes, "No, that is not our way. We are." He goes, "What's the point of dying? We are creatures of habit. In another life, it's too bad we met this way. In another life, I could have called you friend." And
one of the best episodes ever. You see
Kirk is about to say something, and then Kirk shuts up. He literally opens his mouth just a little bit. He's about to say something, and then he stops because he's like, he respects this captain going down with his ship, and he respects his culture, and he respects him as an adversary. There was mutual. Throughout the whole thing, he's like, the commander's like, he's reading my mind, and then Kirk's like, I won't underestimate him again. He figured out what I was going to do. He's like, I'm not underestimating this guy.
Yeah, they're equal. They're equal to each other. I loved it. And by the way, I love acting moments like that. Picard, the series, which we were talking about earlier, has one moment that I think was well acted like that, and it wasn't Patrick Stewart. I just thought I'd mention it just to give the show some credit. There is a moment where Troy, in that episode where he comes and visits Troy, where she goes up to her son who passed away. They're going to open the door to his bedroom, and she hesitates before opening it. That was amazing because, if you're a grieving mother, you lost a kid, that's what you do. But you wouldn't just open the door. I think that was Troy's best episode in all of Star Trek that she did. Her performance in that episode, the episode was good and bad. It had some bad parts I didn't like, but I think that Marina gave her single best performance in that episode.
I would say the one where she played
Romulan was good too.
Yes.
That was good. She got better as the I don't want to discredit that episode, but she got better.
She got better after she had to wear a uniform.
Yeah, Once Jellicoe told her,
wear that uniform from then on out. Yes.
Once Jellicoe told her to wear the uniform, she got better. And I just wanted to give Picard. I think the show was a miss, but there were things about the show I liked. But overall, Discovery, I can't even take it seriously. I'm a weird guy. I have very weird taste. Like one of my favorite movies from maybe the last 10 years is Cloud Atlas. I think that was a really strange but really cool movie, and but nobody's seen it, so it's all right. Did you ever see it?
Good. No, I have not seen.
It's got Tom Hanks in it. It's a big sci-fi epic, and Tom Hanks actually plays very bad. Like usually, he plays good guys. Not really in this one. He plays 6 different characters. But even his most benevolent character is a barbarian who kills people. So I love it.
One of the downsides about, like we said, about talking about Picard is just Patrick Stewart can't deliver the lines.
Yeah, exactly.
He used to. He
can't be
he can't deliver those kind of lines anymore.
Right, he can't be in a scene that I'm looking for, which is a ready room scene with him and one other person delivering great dialogue, which is the iconic part of the character. His best scene was still the news scene where he's giving the interview and he starts talking about Dunkirk. That was like, oh man, when that happened, I was like, holy shit, I took notice. Because from that moment on, the wind was at his back, and for the rest of the episode, he's just kind of doing stuff. But he tells her, he's telling her about Dunkirk. I thought that was a good scene, but they didn't have any other scenes on that level in the show.
No, they
didn't. Well, the problem also is it takes the Picard season 1 takes all the power of what happened in Measure of a Man.
Oh, it ruins it because they didn't watch the whole episode before they made the series. It's almost
because it makes zero damn sense for them to be making synthetics when it would be
and having them be slaves
to make holograms.
Yeah, here they're literally doing exactly what Picard didn't want them to be doing, which is being slaves on Mars. And here's the other thing I wanted to see. Why, after all this time, you finally are doing a follow-up to Measure of a Man, and you don't have Picard and I can't think of the character's name. The guy in the courtroom. Not Maxwell.
Maddox.
Maddox. Thank you very much. I just couldn't think of it. Why not have a scene where the two guys, and they had to get a different actor, unfortunately, for Maddox, but why not have a scene where they reignite their debate? Actually have a debate again, 25 years later or whatever, and having a great scene with the two of them debating the issue again. How could you miss that?
Shitty writers. Because they have shitty ass writers.
Yeah, they do, and it bugged me because I wanted to see it. I actually had hope that, oh my God, they're going to bring Maddox back. They're going to have a great scene between Maddox and Picard. I can't wait. And now I'm just like, the only reason I want to see season 2 is because I feel that John Delancey is going to be awesome. I mean, but I'm probably not going to subscribe.
No.
He could be awesome. I hope he is, but who knows?
He's the only one who looks the part.
Yeah, but, he still has that. He still has that mischievous look in his face. I love it. Where you don't want to mess with him.
Time has run over her a few times.
She just walked off the set of The View, put on a gown and a hat, and now she's Guinan. It really sucks.
Oh no! She walked off The View, smoked a pack of cigarettes.
Right.
And is delivering her lines.
It's interesting because it's only 20 years later, and it looks like Guinan's aged like 40, 50 years from when she was on there. It's like, don't you have the budget to do a de-aging so she actually looks like Guinan? She's like, what, a 500-year-old person, and all of a sudden...
She's 500 pounds. No insult. But here's the great thing about Orville is that now we just have a crew in the prime of their ages. Like, when you want to see them, they're not old characters, and they're doing stuff. They're doing adventures that we want to see. Prime Directive kind of episodes or conflicts or whatever. And I think that's the brilliance that Seth's created this show, and it's like 90s Trek, just very nostalgic, and yet he's not using legacy characters because he can't. He's not using legacy continuity because he can't, but he's creating the feeling of a show that we haven't seen in 20 years. I love it. I cannot wait for New Horizons. Over any series or movie coming out.
I'm very excited for season 3. So is my son. I think he's probably seen the Orville season 1 and 2 now, probably close to a dozen times. Waiting.
That's it. I watch it all the time. I mean, think about how well written episodes like Sanctuary is, or Lasting Impressions, or. You know what I like? Take an episode like Tomorrow, where Kelly finds a double of herself. What I like about that episode, before you get to the twist at the end, right, is that they do what Star Trek used to do. They would try to find this character a place in their society. Like, you could do anything you want. You could be a part of this crew. You could go out and do something else. They spend most of the screen time doing. Like, welcoming this character to the future and making sure that she's not, completely lost. They're trying to give her support. And I love the fact that I'm watching this and I'm like, this is what Star Trek TNG did all the time. And none of these new shows are doing it. It's just creating a society that people want to live in.
Well, I think one of the best things about that episode with Kelly is you have young Kelly, future Kelly, and then you have Mercer, and Mercer is kind of enjoying this younger version, but then he's older now, and she's much older now, and she's looking at herself and being like, God damn, I was like this. And
it's great.
Young Kelly is like, I can't believe I became you, or I become you.
And that twist at the end where she decides to turn him down is so great. And you don't even know that at the time it was going to lead to a second part, which is completely different. You just think, oh, wow, that's interesting. She turned him down, whereas in the original timeline, she didn't turn him down because of what she saw. That's really good writing. I mean, if it would have been unfortunate, but let's say they had canceled the series after season 2 for whatever reason. Season that ending would have been a great way to cap off the series, having them fix the timeline. It's a great show. It's a niche show. It's like it's a show that is kind of like for a specific audience, I think, and that's why it's never going to be like hugely as popular as even, unfortunately, Discovery is, because Discovery, they're marketing the name Star Trek. They're marketing the entire streaming service hinges upon Yellowstone and Star Trek. That's the entire Paramount Plus is hinging on 2 franchises. Yeah, so I hope it's good. I mean, each episode is going to be an hour and 15 minutes long for the new season.
Wow.
Yeah. There's going to be 10. There was originally going to be 11 episodes, but one kind of, even with all the rescheduling and multiple shutdowns, one episode just didn't happen. It just couldn't happen. It wasn't a really like a plot, important episode, but maybe we'll see it in season 4. Because like a couple episodes from season 1 didn't show up until season 2.
Yeah, that is correct.
The episode Primal Urges was supposed to be season 1. The episode with the pornographic program, that was supposed to be season 1.
Well, that was a really great episode too, because
loved it.
It dealt with
a difficult topic.
It dealt with porn addiction in a way. And I mean, let's be honest, we all saw the holodecks on TNG, the holosuites and holodecks, and we all were kind of like, they were playing these games. I'm like, somebody's going in there and doing a little X-rated stuff in these things.
No, absolutely. They even implied that in Next Generation. It's like we just didn't see it. So,
but in that episode, you see it, and the doctors say porno addiction is a big thing. Because I was interested because they didn't view it. They're not viewing it as cheating per se.
Yeah, because they're not real. By the way, can I say something? Penny Gerald Johnson, who played Cassidy. This role as a doctor is fantastic. I mean, people talk about how great a character, not us, but people in the Discovery circle say, oh, Michael Burnham is such a great character. As a character goes, I'd put, black female, strong character, Finn is the best. She is such an awesome character because she is the most street smart of the entire crew, and she's the most experienced, but she has flaws, and she recognizes those flaws. She's not the best single parent. She's got her own hang-ups, and I think that character is fantastic. I love that character.
What about the scene where her son, sneaks in and
gets the alcohol.
The alcohol. I mean, yes, I could totally see that happening.
Absolutely. It's such a... And she doesn't know what she looks at Isaac. She's like, am I doing something wrong? Where am I going wrong as a parent? I love that shit. And yet, Michael Burnham is a character that does everything right and always has a solution. But as far as character development goes, Finn is a much better character. And so if they try to play the race card over there on the Discovery boards and they say, you just don't like a strong black female character. And I'm like, no, I do. Take a look at Finn from the Orville, because she's a much better character. And don't play the race card, gender card on me. What I hate about Discovery more than anything else is how they weaponize the virtues that it has. And I hate that. They basically say, well, if you don't like the show, you're a bigot. Or if you don't like the show, you're a misogynist. Or if you don't like the show, you don't like these different, genders or whatever. And it just...
mute your YouTube tab there, Gorilla.
Hey, Gorilla. So anyway, I'm sorry to go off on a tangent and interrupt. I'm really sorry. But Yeah, I just
Well, Finn
that's
is
what I hate about
Finn
the
is
show.
a great character because I love her line with Mercer in the beginning when she's like, with all these credentials, why are you here? And she goes, I go where I need. And I
Yeah.
think you need me. And she's just very matter of fact about it.
And
Yeah,
she's
right.
believable. She's believable too. I mean, it's a fantasy. The whole show is a fantasy, but she's believable.
So you can make a show. I mean, the key thing is making a show with believable characters. And when you have a show like Discovery and it's one person saving the world every damn day, I'm sorry. Okay. This ain't Knight Rider. This ain't one man in his car.
Yeah.
All right. Give me, okay. This ain't the $6 million man. This is a show with multiple people who have multiple jobs, and you should also be focusing on. I mean, shit. Nobody knew the name of any of the bridge crew for that.
Yeah, and keep the camera steady too. Like, why does the camera have to start upside down, rotate, and then somebody walks in the door? Like, why is the camera doing this stuff? Like, what I like about the Orville, and this is another thing about what I was saying, Star Trek is boring, and I mean that in kind of a joking, hyperbolic way, but they have very, one-shot or two-shot directing style, which I think is very, because it focuses on the drama. You don't have crazy camera moves in Star Trek. You have, two camera setups, and that's it, usually. And then once in a while, you change it, like with the episode Sanctuary, which, by the way, directed by Frakes, where they're playing that song, the Dolly Parton song. Great stuff. That's the scene where he moves the camera so that it goes with the music. But you don't do that all the time. He's moving the camera a lot more than normal because it's got to go with the music. I think Favreau was a great first director to get everybody get the feel of what they're supposed to do. He did the first episode of the show.
I think that one of the other great things about the Orville is, you walk around the ship, it looks like somebody actually paid the fucking electric bill.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love the light. One of my favorite scenes is when, and I actually edited this scene out, learning how to edit, is when Mercer goes to meet Kelly's new boyfriend. And it's just a scene where they're talking about relationships. And he's like, at the end, he's like, Journey. And he's like, what, traveling? Yeah. And he's like, no, Journey, the old band. That's the joke, because it seems like, they never bring up modern bands in Star Trek. But it's such a great scene because he says to him, women don't like men that are perfect. So you got to be a little dumb every day, and sometimes really dumb, because otherwise they won't like you. I think that's great shit. I love that.
Well, you also had in About a Girl. And oh, by the way, that's the other thing too. Orville is the first show since Star Trek that I actually know the titles of the freaking episodes.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Yep.
But in About a Girl, when Bortus is watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with Lamar, and
my father did that. Are you talking about that line with the father?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Did he just leave his child with two drunk babysitters? Yep, reminds me of my father.
Oh my God, it has me rolling. It was so funny.
What about that scene where when we get introduced to the Latchkin and Ed Mercer's looking for someone to hang out with, and he goes over to Lamar and there's that chick with the half thing, and they're smoking a joint. That was a given. They were smoking a joint, and she's like, "You want to come in?" And Lamar's like,
"No, come in." And here's the other thing about that scene. Once he gets to the Bortus's quarters, he sits there and he says, "There's so much about your culture I don't know. I want to learn." That line is more Star Trek than anything in Discovery. Just him saying that, There's so much about your culture I don't know. It reminded me of in season 2 of TNG when Riker is going to be transferred and serving on a Klingon ship. But before he goes over there, he's eating all their food. And Picard steps down and says, there's really so much about the Klingons that we don't know, even though they're our allies. There's so much about them that we could learn. That's Star Trek to me. That is the essence of Star Trek to me.
Well, Star Trek. Well, one of the other interesting episodes in Orville is when Kelly and Mercer are talking, and there's an issue again with the Mocklins, and she kind of says, I know we're supposed to be culturally tolerant, but she kind of says, where do kind of like, I know we're supposed to be tolerant, but where do we draw a line?
It's a great conversation. It's when they're sitting in the mess hall or wherever, 10 forward, whatever they call 10 forward. It's like you have to balance cultural tolerance with some kind of universal scale of ethics or something like that. I don't remember the exact line. It's great. And yet he can do those kind of lines. Another line that I liked, which seemed almost out of place, and yet I loved it, is in Lasting Impressions when he's like, it matters what is actually real. Like the universe isn't guided by what you believe. It matters what it's actually real. And I love it when because Seth really understands the essence of what makes Star Trek work. Like before he did the Orville, he did an interview and he talked about one of his favorite episodes was the Drumhead. And he's like, here you could do a bottle show, no special effects, just acting, and have a great show. By the way, if you open the Blu-ray set for Next Generation and you go into cause and effect, Seth is doing the commentary on that, on the commentary track.
I need to get the Blu-ray for TNG.
Yeah.
I have it on I have it on
digital?
on DVD, but no, I have it on DVD. I have all the Star Treks on DVD for
the Blu-ray.
I have TOS on Blu-ray.
The Blu-ray set for TNG, all the special features are produced by Robert Meyer Burnett, whose channel I do watch once in a while. There's also
Robert Burnett is great.
Yeah, he did all the special features on the TNG Blu-rays, and he also added in one episode was extended, and that was Measure of a Man. He actually added in 20 minutes that they found, and that episode in the Blu-ray, if you want to watch it, they give you the choice. You can watch a longer version of Measure of a Man on the Blu-ray. It's very cool. I got it. I looked for it on Amazon, and when it was on sale, I just said I'm buying it. It was like under $50 for all 7 seasons, and I'm just like, yep, because I love physical media anyway.
Hey, Bird.
Hey, sorry. Captain asked me to come on.
To shut me up.
He's in pain, and he needs to end the stream. Thank you guys, and B. Mercer, for coming up. Be a Gorilla. I don't know if you're here, but thank you.
No, I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you.
You got it.
Hope you feel better, Cap.
Thank you, and thank everybody for joining me in the.
I gotta eat anyway.
Yeah, too bad I could be on longer.